Brad Garlinghouse is the CEO of the cryptocurrency developer Ripple. Ripple's XRP token has surged more than 500% this year. Brad, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, just tell people what exactly Ripple does, because it's not just the currency, also you're very involved in blockchain.
Absolutely. So Ripple sells a blockchain technology to banks and payment providers and other financial institutions to do real-time settlement between banks. So today, if Morgan wanted to send $10,000 to London right now, the fastest way for her to do that is to drive to Newark or JFK and fly it there. Our view is, in a world of the internet, you can stream video from the space station, you should be able to real-time settle between banks, and we sell a technology to banks to do that.
And the banks are getting on board with this because they know there's a lot of paper pushing and also a lot of money attached to those settlements.
For sure. So we have over 100 banks working with Ripple today around the world. I think the vast majority of banks, like 99.9% of banks, actually are paying other banks, the kind of the global money center banks like JP Morgan or Citibank, to make those settlements. So a lot of the banks are very excited about democratizing how these global payments flow.
There's a belief that, you could transform the global payment system over time.
Welcome in, John.
The alternative argument is you need a centralized. You can't have it decentralized, that it actually benefits from efficiencies. I would assume you come down in the left.
Yeah, for sure. I think anytime you can do something without that central counterparty, you're going to reduce friction, which is measured by time, cost, speed. So by removing that central counterparty and going direct from point to point, you can skip going from the Bank of David to the Bank of Morgan to the Bank of Mike. You just go directly to the Bank of Mike.
So if the immediate opportunity is efficiencies in this area of the actual kind of nuts and bolts sort of plumbing of the financial system, how does that relate to the value of the Ripple tokens or of the Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies? They're taking on a separate life, it seems, from the future of adoption of this technology.
It's a great point, and I think one of the things we all have to remember is that the value of a token over the long term is really going to be derived by its utility. What problem is it solving? How big is that problem? How many customers do you have? There's no question there's a lot of hype in this system, and I don't actually think that's a good thing. For Ripple, we use this digital asset called XRP to settle liquidity needs between banks. So today, there's $27 trillion parked at different banks around the world so they can make payments between each other. Our view is you can use a digital asset like XRP to do that in real time. Because XRP has been so efficient, it settles a transaction about 3 seconds compared to Bitcoin.
So it just passes through that currency for that period of time.
That's correct.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe.
Good evening, 7:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, October 5th, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So that was from Brad Garlinghouse over 5 years ago. So what he's saying is starting to ring more true today than it was then. So let me just thank everybody for tuning in. John, welcome in. CJ2 Pilot, good evening. Matt, Mitchell, welcome in. JW, Terry, you got a notification. That is awesome. Louisville, welcome in. Mock Chicken, Bobby Ferguson, Don Jackson, good evening. Donald, welcome in. XRP to the moon. Jason Setta, good evening. Oh, Johnson, I love that you caught the live. Thank you for liking it, Showstopper. Martin Van Hatten, welcome in. Haddam. Crypto Bob, hey Tom, lots of FUD floating around. Good job. We have you in a very educated and wonderful chat too. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. 1970, welcome in. 1000X time. Well, crypto truck and not quite. My thing is until this inverted head and shoulders is invalidated, we very well could bounce off this 524 as long as we don't invalidate this support at the 200 day and come back through this golden cross. Right now, we would like to say we're holding on the 200 day as we've done today. On the 4-hour time frame, we've done our job. We had a few wicks down here to retest our strength. And now we're trying to close above 524. We are right on the border right now. Tanya, welcome in, my birthday sister who shares a birthday with me on the same day. I'm blessed to have you in here. Rick, good evening. Hope you're doing great. So that's what I'm saying. If this can bounce off this inverted head and shoulders, first thing we need to do is stay over that 524 level. But ultimately, we need to break out of this structure. Horace, welcome in. Shane, good evening from Melbourne, Australia. Crypto Solo Scrooge in the house once again. Make sure you follow Crypto Solo Scrooge over here on YouTube. He covers Sologenic, and he covers everything pretty much related to the XRP ledger is the best I can put it. Yes, indeed, Tanya. I love it. So for XRP, we have not fallen back into the small channel that we created, which is kind of like a bear flag, you could say, because it is. But we need to stay over this 513 level, which we've done today. We actually came down, like I showed, and hit the 200-day. So now what we're trying to do is we're going to try to round and hook back up and see if we can ultimately first get over that 54 cents, but ultimately get over this area. That's if we can show any strength. So until the inverted head and shoulders is invalidated, that's very well could be what's going to play out here. That would be a 20% move from where we're at. It's not guaranteed, but that's what it's starting to set up for. We had a golden cross that invalidated the death cross short term. Now we're trying to invalidate the structure, but we have to go up to 62 cents to see if that's possible. Otherwise, we're kind of stuck in no man land. Cody, welcome up. What's up from Perth, Australia? Wow. Way better than Melbourne. Well, I can't speak to that. I think both graces are great. Rick, welcome in from Canada, eh? My brother in from the north. JW, good evening, mate. Welcome in, my friend. I'm so glad to see you. Miss Vicky as well. I'm so glad you're in here, love. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for finding your way back in here tonight. So we are trying to get over this 524. I would love to see it close like that. Now, what I'm wondering here is yeah, I guess this could be this could start to play out like a gravestone doji. But there is a chance that this could be an inverted hammer. But I guess we'll have to see. Cut it out, Jay. Welcome in, Archie, good evening. Glad to see you in here as well. So as you can see, we're working off the golden cross. We're trying not to invalidate it. We did come down into the 200-day. Can you show the death cross? Hard to see. Hard to see in fuzzy usually. What do you mean? It's hard to see in fuzzy usually. No, I don't know what you mean by that. If you're talking about my screen, it might be time to get a new device. Because this is the highest quality. It lets me put it out on YouTube. But the death cross, what death cross? This is a golden cross. It came back through in the 4-hourly. The death cross in the daily, are we talking about? This is the death cross in the daily. So, Tanya, the golden cross, so let's go back to the 4-hour time frame. The golden cross here, and make this a little easier to see. So you have the 20, which is the red line. Oh, let's see. You got the 50, the 100, which is down here, and the 200, which is in the dark blue. For this to be a golden cross, you need the 20-day. It came through the 50 and the 100. Once it comes through the 200, they call that a golden cross. It's basically just a bullish divergence. So the price action shifts short term from 20 days out all the way, or 20 days in. So from 20 all the way out to 200 days. The 20-day moving average now is greater than all of that price action, which is telling us that the trend's reversing. Now, if you get a hold on the 200-day after this golden cross, then you are in business. And right now we're in business in the 4-hourly. And some will be like, well, what about the daily? Which the daily, the death cross is the complete opposite. The 20 comes through the 50, 100, ultimately the 200, and it reverses in a downside. Now, we created an inverted head and shoulders, which signifies a pattern bottom if it plays true. So if that plays true, that's why we look in the 4-hour time frame, because that short time frame is what this was put in on. If you play it in the 4-hourly, it actually shows you a good representation of that short move. Now, when you look at the weekly, we still have the golden cross fully intact, just like in the 4-hourly. So if somebody says in the 4-hourly, well, you got to not use the 4-hourly, we have to play the daily. And then I would just say, well, if you play the daily, well, how can you trust the daily if the weekly is a higher time frame if you want to use that? Right now, it's just converging in here. We're over, or we were, now we're back below this 53 cent area. True, what's going on? Who's playing you? How are you, my friend? Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time here tonight. 63 people watching here tonight. Thank you so much. 45 likes. Please make sure to hit that like button, as it will greatly help push us through the algorithm. It'll allow more people like you and I to discuss this even closer. Like we've talked about, that bull flag that was disguised in the bear flag very well could play us out to 62. It's very critical we do hold 52.4 on these dailies, just to show some kind of strength, but we're not going to today. So now we're going to have to fight from the bearish side of town, even though we are still over that 513 on the falling channel structure. So that's still considered a breakout here. Trust the same for you. Your voice sounds... Oh, yeah. I feel much better voice-wise. I am taking it easy. So I don't know. I might do 20 minutes today. I don't know, because I did a 37 or 34-minute midday market report, which I was happy. We had about 70 people in there. It's been growing every day, or 75. So, I'm doing my due diligence morning and night. I basically do it how the audience, it's about the vibe. Sometimes I'll end after 10 minutes if I feel like the vibe's not right. I'm not shy anymore. MC Prosperity, hope you're having a great night. Chat, welcome in as always. So does that make sense with XRP? And right now, we're below that 28 billion, which is more on the bearish side of town. But let me ask some of you who understand the charts. Is that an inverted hammer? Some people might say that we're going to look at a gravestone, but to me, this looks like an inverted hammer. I don't know. I could be crazy. I could be stupid. I could be just... That doesn't look like a gravestone. I think that lined up more like an that's a bullish inverted hammer too, as this is going to close. Well, at least in the weekly it is. It's not closed yet. Which means next week could be off to a hot start if this is true. We only got one more day here during the week, and then we go into a thinly traded weekend. We very well could start something here. I don't know if anybody would want to put in their... thank you, Miss Vicky. Thank you for answering. Yep, looks like positive. Awesome. It looks like a hammer from you taught us the other day. Excellent. Jorge, positive candle. I agree. Criminality. I only know my hammer. Good. Good. True said, yeah, I'd call it a hammer. Good. See, I like this. You know why? Because now we get some clarity together. Rick, I see on the last dip. I see on last dip incoming. I got to see the rest of that. I also seen a donation. Wow. I see one last dip incoming before skyrocket. I mean, if you're going to call for a skyrocket, you want to hold this structure, really, on this. But what you got to do is stay over. You want to get up and over that 28 billion, ultimately. That'll help support a move on the market cap up into here. And that would get you, as I've said, it's not crazy in the market cap. But what it relates to in price action, that's about 10.8%. Halo, I love the midday market report. That's not a gravestone. Nope, I agree. And thank you so much for liking the midday market report. You were in there on the earlier days when I started it the first day. We only had like 25, 30, 35 people for the first couple weeks. Now it's been like almost, I think about 2 months, roughly. And now we've getting up to 75 people in there. It's awesome. MC Prosperity, go XRP. Thanks, Tom. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. Haven't even talked about it, but if you want to pay it forward like that fine gentleman has, MC Prosperity, you can send a YouTube Super Chat or join Tom's Army. That's in the video description below if you want to join Tom's Army. It's all greatly appreciated. The only hammer I see is my I see. We've got ladies in the house, sir. Let's be appropriate in here. Not saying that I don't understand the lingo, but we do have ladies in the house. So, as gentlemen, we want to be on our best behavior. Or at least in a behavior that we can find appropriate. It's time, Tom. Let's go. Ty, welcome in. I appreciate you. And I'm not saying I'm the cleanest person in the world, but what I will say is I like to keep an environment that's suitable for everybody. So, the daily. See how we've had the cross here? We're recrossing this death cross. We've already come down once to try to support it. And now the daily close, it squeezed way up here. That actually, it squeezed way up. It kind of seems like it needs to have a little burst first. That's what I'm seeing. What I kind of feel like it wants to do if we can get the proper support. This inverted head and shoulders, I would not be surprised if it did something like that. Like it bounced here and then it came back up to support this uptrend with the market cap. Miss Vicky, Tom, you are a gentleman. Thank you. Appreciate your respect. No problem, love. I see it from all sides. But I can do it in a friendly manner to where I'm not, I'm not making anybody feel bad. But I think we've done a fantastic job in this community to where we've did a 360-degree U-turn. Or I guess we could say a 180-degree U-turn. We've become a place of empowerment in here instead of one of degradation, as we see across society, unfortunately. I found out bull market will start on 110.20. See, I don't disagree with the dates into next year. You know why, Kilmani? I don't disagree with 2024 because that's my own prediction as well. A mini bull run in 2024 to correlate with what I think the BRICS are going to do. If the U.S. and that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to sell out into cash and it's going to be, it would mean that you cash out and you're going to have all this money. That might not be the case, ladies and gentlemen. It very well, it could be, hey, the market's going up but the U.S. dollar's plummeting. So even though it seems like things are worth so much, if you sell it out into your native currency, especially fiat in the USA, it could turn into something else. Rick says, I thought the S&P crash may have last dip or fake drop. We'll see. Still buying when I can. Good analysis. I love the show and info and support. Thank you so much, Rick. An excellent insight. And what I can say about what you're saying, so I'm not covering the S&P, but I am covering the Dow because they all follow. We do have that big W we're watching. But what I've said is we've got a high probability while it was in here to fall out and come down to this 32,580 approximately. But if this created a broadening wedge, expect a fall to about 31,000. And then, think about this. Everybody who's shorting or would start to pile on, think about a return rally back to just the top of the wedge of about 20%. Does anybody think that could happen? I think this is what's actually playing out with the Dow Jones. Nobody's saying it's in a broadening wedge. I am. Resistance, support. You need 2 hits to confirm the pattern for a broadening wedge. And the legend says each hit becomes more volatile. Wouldn't this be more volatile? And then if it wants to break down and the broadening wedge it goes bearish, it could come down here and hit this side and come down. But this formation suggests we very well could be into something much bigger. I'm telling you guys, don't be fooled here. They're telling you about all these short opportunities for a reason. I would not be surprised if you bounce out because this is, in my opinion, you guys can all tell me. We have 75 people in here. Make sure to hit that like button. 59 likes says we're doing a much better job. Please make sure to hit that like button. I don't do any paid promotions, advertisements, or sponsorships of any kind because I want you to have a free viewing experience. The only ad you see is what YouTube gives you. And then I don't charge for any of my content. So please hit that like button. It is a lifeline for this program. I don't have a marketing budget, and if you would share this on social media and do that extra step, would be great. Matt, where did I learn all this analysis stuff? I taught myself from right around 2017 and on. You guys have watched me grow from 2021, and I can't even compare what I know now to 2021. What I knew in 2021 was not basic, but it was basic compared to what I can show you now. So I just teach you every day what I learned. So now that's an invalid pattern in my opinion. So is this. We were trying to find what kind of pattern it was. We figured it out. No, not from YouTube. Well, okay. Peter Schiff, Mike Maloney. Who was the other one that really put in some work? Gregory Mannarino. Earlier days, especially when he would talk about charting. And then those 3 in particular, I would listen mostly to Peter Schiff, though, if I'm being honest. Him and Mike Maloney for like gold. But Peter Schiff, all around, I would listen to him and he would bring up terminology and try to explain it. I've been listening to him for a long time, over a decade, probably much longer, probably 2 decades, maybe 2.5. But he would talk about pattern formations and then I would look it up. So here's the true story. In the early days, I tried to ask people on YouTube in the comments, and every single time they would always give me, and some fancy ones that today I don't have kind things to say about sometimes. That's the reason why, because some of these people that you guys tell me about, I asked when I didn't know anything back a long time ago. And no, certainly not those guys. Certainly not those guys. They can run as much as they want, but they'll never come into anything of any value. But they always tell me to join their courses. So what I did over time is I would listen to Peter Schiff, Mike Maloney too, in this regard, and I would start searching what they would tell me, honestly. And they tell you, Peter Schiff still to this day will tell you, if he sees a Head and Shoulders, you'll say if it's in the channel. If he sees something else, and then I'd be like, what the hell is he talking about? I don't know what he's talking about. So then I'd start looking it up. And then after time with repetition, because I have an ability, I can see in my mind like the pictures of what I've seen before. So I can overlap what I'm seeing now. I have like a photogenic memory, or photographic, that some would call it. But that happened after I had a close head injury. So, you know, call it for what it is in my mid-20s. So I have frontal lobe damage on the left side. Very bad accident. Wasn't my fault. But nonetheless, you know, it is what it is. So, and I'm really good with numbers. And I'm with pattern recognition. So I just put it all together. And doing this every day for the last 2.5, almost 3 years now, has really helped put this together, because seeing it every day, it's like I see the same stuff all the time. So like when I see the Dow, some people are like, so Tom, this is what's going to happen. I'm like, Even what I showed you before I started to think of the broadening wedge perspective, you know, I showed you the breakdown in the Dow, but now that we've done the breakdown, shouldn't we have the full pattern? So that's what I'm giving you. I taught the short-term technique, but this is how you figure out if this is going to be bullish or bearish. And then, sure, you can do more stuff in the pattern. We could come up with a little uptrend here, but what's the point? Let's let this do the job and not overanalyze it. Right now, I can tell you, a broadening wedge is a bullish continuation. It only is bearish from its high point to creating a new swing low. That's it. High point, swing low. Remember? High point, swing low. High point, swing low. High point until it breaks out. And what does it create there? If it does that, a beautiful W. You are correct. And a bullish Gartley at that. So that's what I look at. And then if it breaks down, you know, because the broadening wedge will break down, and then you'll have a target down here around 29,000, just right off the bat. And we could figure it out, but I don't want to go down that far because I don't necessarily think the government is going to allow it to go. And then you would say, well, Tom, why do you have 32,580 there? That's if the government starts printing money. That's if the government starts printing money because they have this 45-day agreement. This is where I'm like, you know what? We got to call a spade a spade. Yes, I know what kind of formation we're in, but the manipulation would allow it to tippy-toe back up here, and then maybe it comes down. Or maybe we just break to a new high in the session until 2024. So that is what I'm trying to pay attention to. Great midday mark report, Tom. I had to go back earlier and watch. And Mike broke it down nicely in terms of gold and then converting gains to make more. Yeah, exactly. See, exactly. That's why I showed that clip with Mike Maloney today. It was only about a 3-4 minute clip. It wasn't, maybe 5. It wasn't very long. But he broke it down in real terms of why it's important, especially in an overinflated US dollar, in nominal terms, to turn it into gold or silver. And he showed the gold ratio in nominal terms. And it showed the comparison of how much more valuable your money would be in gold. And you talk about a Venezuela idea starting to happen in the USA here. You know, I bet you the Venezuelans said it could never happen there too. Or the Greeks said it could never happen there. Or all these fallen empires all said it couldn't happen there. You know what the one steady interest and the one steady truth is in all of this? Even in times of prohibition, whoever was wise enough not to give up their gold and give into the fiat is wealthy beyond their years. You ever hear of the Kennedys? They're only there because their early parts of their family in the 1900s, the earlier generations, kept their gold. And what happened? That's time and time and renowned through over and over through history. Some of your richest and most royal of families, and I'm not talking about by birth, I'm talking about by ownership of wealth. They owned metals, in particular gold and silver. Sure, platinum and all this other stuff is great, palladium. Palladium, though, in a time of everything goes to shit, if you're just looking for an industrial metal so that we can continue to do things, silver and gold is going to be your asset. Palladium will be for other nefarious purposes. But me personally, I like my gold and silver. I really do, especially silver with the ratio. So anybody who, wow, 78 people. Anybody who does listen to this, especially the midday market report and the silver stacker videos, this is something special. Most people charge an arm and a leg for this information. And I don't understand why. I really don't. And like, I get it all the time, ladies and gentlemen. Tom, you're not a millionaire. Why the hell should we listen to you? Trust me. The number one thing I always get is that. Always. It's the number one thing I always get. And you know, that is what it is, and I'm fine with that. The one thing I can tell you, if you do it right, you shouldn't have to come on when you are already a millionaire. My goal is to get everybody to go where I'm going with me. Yes, you're going to be a little behind me because it depends where you started. But I want to share something with everybody here. So, if you wonder if what I do can work, and mind you, I'm 39 years old. I just bought my house last year. I had a 30-year mortgage. Told you I would share this. Dear Thomas Spica Jr., paying off a home loan is a big step in many people's lives. Congratulations. Now that we received your payoff and closed your account reference, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So, you're seeing me do this in real time. Just because I'm not a millionaire today, you guys have watched me in real time grow things in an exponential way. You know, it's not a $2,000 house. It's not $1 million house. But my house appraised at $235,000. And it's not like I had to write a check, me and Julie, for $147,000 plus. So that asset had to come from somewhere. So the only reason I decided to do that with Julie is because my mortgage went up, and looking at it, you know, it's like if I pay it off now, if I went the whole 30 years, it would have cost me for a $160,000 loan, $348,000 it would have cost me. $348,000 over 30 years. So you're telling me I would have had to pay almost 3 times or 2.5 times. It was actually more. It was closer to $400,000 with all the escrow and everything. So I did that. And some will say, well, you shouldn't do that. Well, when the dollar's being devalued, I waited for an appropriate time with the dollar. I told you I had plans. I waited for things to shake out in the way I needed to. The dollar's overinflated. So I decided to do it while I could before the basis points started, you know, when things go out of control. So I'm just being honest with everybody, you know. So some can say that their stuff works. Some can say this and that. I can show you the proof of what I do. And I don't brag. That's the only time you'll ever see me talk about that. That's it. But if I'm going to show you the journey and the step-by-step, so now that means I have $250,000 basically in an asset. My home is no longer, it's no longer a liability. I paid it off. So yeah, you have upkeep and stuff, but now technically it got reevaluated and it appraised for $232.5 this year, which is way overinflated. But you figure, so the cash isn't gone, it's this and that. So like I keep saying, I could tell you or make a million excuses, but all I'm going to tell you is the truth. The only difference between me being a millionaire now and how I'm doing it now is you guys get to see it as it's happening in real time. Where I'm at now compared to 2021, I'm not even in the same ballpark. 2021 version of Tom was broke compared to 2023 version of Tom. But 2023 version of Tom's been doing what 2021 version has told him to do the entire way and what I've been teaching everybody. 2028 Tom, like I've already said, is going to give me the biggest hug of all times. Because all of this in 2028, I'm going to have another zero. And you figure I went from 5 figures to 6 figures. I still have enough in assets to be over 6 figures besides the house. But nowhere close. I'm not a $500,000 yet. I'd say it's probably somewhere around, I got about 100,000 to go before I could say I have $500,000. So, but some people are like, well, why don't you move? Your house is only, you know, you bought it for 160, and if it's paid off, why don't you buy a bigger house? That's the trap. See, the key that everybody watching me needs to understand when you're doing this Every time if you buy a house, you get it close to paying off and you sell it and get a new one, you've went back into that same cycle. What I've done now is I've taken the pressure off. You know, most people work for their mortgage. I don't have to do that now. Now I have to pay about $5,000 a year in taxes, which is crazy, and another probably $1,500 by next year, and you know your homeowners. So that's about $6,000 to $7,000 a year I'll be paying. You know, you figure I can put away $1,800 a month that I'd be paying for the house after it raised by $600 a month roughly when they reappraised and did all the shit. So just moved into home 2 years ago and just paid it off. There's a level of freedom that comes. Oh, Johnson! Congratulations, my friend. Yeah, I moved in here. I mean, I signed over the paperwork. I want to say it was August of last year. We signed it up. August of last year. Yeah, my credit, the last I checked, but this was with the house on it though. So once that clears, I'm sure it'll go up. Was 737. When I was younger, just back in 2017, before I took control, it was under 500. So I'm just telling you, it doesn't have to take you even a decade. I literally went from nothing. Me and Julie couldn't pay our light bill in 2017. So some are like, well, how could you have gone from that to this in 6 years? I learned. I made a lot of mistakes investing, but I was teaching myself. The only way to learn is lose money. I'm just being honest with everybody. You have to lose money. And most people leave when I talk like this, which I don't understand. Like, is it because we all want the fairy tale if we can just invest and tomorrow XRP is going to go up to 1,000x? Like, I don't understand. But the ones who are here understand. It's not about the glamour. I could sell you a course and be so rich tomorrow, but I've been building something for a long time. Well, in nominal terms of my life, I'm not even 40. I won't be until December 17th. But just as far as building it the right way, not all money's good money. And I tell people this every day. And I don't care if you're a doctor, lawyer, pharmacist. I don't care who you are. Firefighter, cop, attorney. There's good and bad. Not all money's good money. A YouTuber, not all YouTubers make good money. Some of it's satanic, dead, devil money. Because you're hurting somebody in the way. I'm not hurting anybody. In fact, the only person I'm hurting is myself, if as far as nominal terms. Because I could, you know, put a price tag on it. But the only price tag I want is friendship. I want loyalty. Hopefully that's my... Hold on, I want to read through some of this. You know, we're having a heart-to-heart here tonight because I promised everybody who was watching during the lives that I would talk about this at the appropriate time. I didn't want to do it when there's 200 people in here. So I felt like tonight we have the right group that I could actually talk to. Let me see what everybody's saying. I need to reload this. God, I love YouTube. So, crypto screw Tom, people took out mortgages in 2008. Now 2023, those who can afford it, after the interest rates will have it taken off them. That's how the banks grow more. Yep. Right about that. Losing is 100% part of the process. Kilamati, I live in a condo in Kansas. The government pays partial rent as a grant. I'm happy. Hey, you should be happy. Be appreciative. Be very appreciative. You don't know how to use your credit? Well, a lot of people will tell you to take out loans and do all this fancy stuff. I say don't do that. Use it to your advantage if you need to buy something, but you know that's an asset in itself, having a good credit score. I have about 150 on my house and it's worth around 350. I want to pay it off so bad. That's a hell of a lot of equity in there. You've done some good there. You're about 60% upright right now. Congratulations. That is that. Trust me, it was weighing on me. And me and Julie had a real talk about it. Real talk, and now with the rest of our assets, you know, we're putting a substantial part of what's left between mine and Julie's into precious metals here, because we're about to get that opportunity. I keep telling everybody, dry powder. And if you want to do what I'm doing, be on the ball. I do this and I know the cycle, so I'm not just stuck on one cycle. And you guys know we're getting towards the end here. I understand. Now, would you guys like to relax with me? Yes or no? If you would like to do a little cannabis with me, I will stand outside because the kids are here. I will hold my tablet, and we will just shoot the shit. And we'll talk about XRP a little bit here. And then if you have any questions, we can do that. Absolutely, O. Johnson. I tell you every single time I buy precious metals. Every single time without exception since 2021. All right, let me go grab this real quickly. So while we're waiting, I actually have somebody else I want you to watch. Shut up, Brad, not you. How dare you steal Mike Maloney's spotlight? No, I'm just kidding. We like Brad. Fudster and all, we like him. So Mike Maloney said something very important today about inflation. We can go through this. It was about, what was it, 16, 17 minutes in. Somewhere around here he was talking about. We'll just watch it from here while I'm doing this. I want you to see when he gets into this. It's actually incredible.
Or they of supply, they all have to raise their price again, and it's this vicious fertilizers, pesticides. So if you've got if you're buying coffee at the store sold that coffee to you. There's a supplier that sold the coffee to the store, and then there is a coffee roaster that is supplying the coffee to the coffee supplier, and then there is the coffee grower, and beyond that, there are fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, there are all the inputs, and then the labor. Now, if the retail price goes up on coffee, that means that for all of the workers, for the store, the supplier, the roaster, the grower, and the supplier of all of the things that the that the grower has to buy, if they go up for all of those people, that means those people need to get a raise, which means that each step in this chain has to increase their prices again, which raises the retail price, which means everybody has to get a raise, which means that every supplier, every link in that chain of supply, they all have to raise their price again. And it's this vicious spiral that has to complete until the quantity of currency is all accounted for. It won't stop until that is done. And, I don't think we're anywhere near being done yet. You're going to see these waves, these ripples. And right now we know that on the average, people's standard of living is going down because their wages are not keeping up with inflation. Right now you've got the United Auto Workers Union strike, and they're demanding to get paid more, which means that either the auto companies don't raise their prices and go out of business, which is probably going to happen, or they increase their prices and sell fewer cars. Either way, this whole thing is a disaster, and it was set in motion by these people that you're listening to here. So basically, take everything that they say and sort of turn it around and take a look at the other side.
So that includes the computers that we work with, or the electricity bill for the lights in this cafeteria. There's a second related point, which is that it's about the
So, does anybody have any respect for Mike Maloney? If you do, he's got 700,000 plus subscribers on YouTube. Give him a follow, but are you finding any value out of this for real? Hey, that's your opinion, Joshua. That's your opinion, my brother. So, that's your opinion. As long as you're paying a mortgage, it's a liability. You're never going to write it off 100% on the tax side. I mean, it's just the way it goes. I'm a homeowner. I understand how it works. I understand the tax code very well. I have to go above and beyond with the tax code because of my crypto holdings and such.
basket of things that consumers actually consume.
No, they're talking about like the CPI, where they pick a very narrow basket of things and they track those.
Remember what I said about the truth about inflation? He's telling you right now. Remember I told you they picked a basket of goods and say that's what causes inflation, when really it's the expansion of the money supply which makes things more expensive because you're more inflated in the actual circulation of money. He says it better than I can because he's the one I learned it from.
Prices over a long period of time instead of tracking the quantity of currency, the quantity.
Oh, crap. What's going on? I hope I didn't just lose everybody. I don't know what it is.
Of savings and the amount of goods and services available, GDP, much closer to Milton Friedman's famous formula, which I'll show you in a few minutes.
On average across the entire population. So maybe subway pass prices are going up.
At least she took the population variable and put that in there.
But that's not going to factor into countrywide inflation in a major way unless most people in the country actually ride the subway.
But it is one piece of the puzzle, and I don't think they measure subway prices in the CPI. They either need to measure everything in the economy, which is almost impossible, or they need to measure the quantity of currency and the savings and the amount of goods and services which you get from GDP.
Now, the reason that we care about inflation is that it can lower people's living standards.
And it does, and we know it does. Over the past, I think, 4 years, the average income inflation adjusted has gone down by about, I think for a household,
All right, I had
it's
to get my
about
jacket,
$4,000.
When prices rise faster than wages, people are effectively getting poorer.
Yes, and eventually everybody asks for a raise, which means that the prices have to rise again to cover those raises. It's this vicious spiral.
So we'll continue this, but I want to look at XRP real quick, and then we'll enjoy this relaxation. I'm standing out in the rain, so we'll make do with this how we can. I'm under my tree, so it kind of blocks this off. I got a nice covering over this, so I'm not too worried about it getting wet. But it's still not good, you know, if it keeps raining real hard on it, I have to make a decision. So with XRP, remember, if we're coming down, at least if we hold this area at the 513, it's fine. But we really want to start breaking out here. And first area, whoops, the screen got a little wet. First area up here to about 54 cents. And then if you can break it out, then we can start talking about maybe coming up to the rising channel up at 62.5 cents. Conversely, if you do break down, and let's just say we lose the 20-day, and if we come down below that 513 level, then we start to come back into here. If you ultimately lose about 49 cents, then you have a chance of really invalidating this inverted head and shoulders, and then coming back down to the bottom of this channel even. So right now we're looking at more of the bullish implications here with the understanding that we very well could go bearish. So just please pay close attention to this. Bowling over here, T. Nice. So let's finish this out with some Mike Maloney here. I want to just thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We're going to do some relaxation here tonight, some nice cannabis. It's legal in the U.S., well, at least in Michigan where I'm at. So if you're more than kind to join me with some cannabis and relax, I'd appreciate it. Keep it positive in here and enjoy Mike Maloney because he's telling you the truth about inflation. We'll watch this whole video, not tonight, a few more minutes here, but I do appreciate every single one of you. Jeffrey, thank you for your inputs. I find value you bring worth it. Gonna have some blood orange kush with you. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. You all are so kind to me. Crypto Solo Scrooge, thank you so much for saying it. It's a great live. I appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in to the Midday Market Report as well.
That the world's central banks kicked off with these ultra low interest rates that caused real estate to boom, with quantitative easing, which caused the stock market to boom, and then paying people to stay home during the lockdowns, which caused savings to charge up. And then once the lockdowns were lifted, it didn't matter if they stopped sending people checks. Those savings discharged into the economy. And as the savings discharge, prices have to rise to account for all that newly circulating currency.
$1 that I have today is worth less than the $1 that I had last year. That makes me worse off.
Which is absolutely true. Whose fault is that?
That's why we say that inflation is the worst tax on the poor.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. It's a bad tax on everybody, but if you make a lot, you're paying like 50% income tax, depending on which state that you live in. It takes a while for 5% annual inflation to total 50%. So which is worse?
Oh, real quick, I know this has nothing to do with what we're doing, but there's a little homeless cat outside. It's got to be probably 10, 11 years old. It's the Claude. It looks like somebody was abusive to it. It might have took like a cigarette or something to its eye. It's got like a clipping out of its ear. And it was very malnourished, so it doesn't want to come inside or anything. So I bought it a house for outside. And it cost me like $100 for everything. And some people are like, you're crazy. But I bought it. It's all weatherproofed. I put it together with Julie today and bought it some stuff for the inside. It's still trying to get used to it. But over the past like 4 weeks, the cat's gained some weight. It's becoming more comfortable around us. But it makes me feel bad that people would treat animals like that. Like, that really makes me sad.
Well, you'll see something about government spending in a minute.
So, why is it happening? Well, there's two big buckets of reasons. The first is when there's shortage.
I want you to notice that her two big buckets don't include government and banks expanding the currency supply.
In supply
It is
or
disgusting.
slowdowns in supply. So let's think about coffee production since we're here in this cafe. Let's say that there's a bad harvest or a drought, which reduces the amount of coffee beans. However, everyone in the world, including myself, is still going to have the same demand for those coffee beans.
Incorrect. In a free market.
Oh, thank you, Mike. I was just about to be like, are you... I forgot he's covering this. I don't have to say anything. Carry on, Mr. Maloney.
The price, if there's a shortage in supply, it means that the price will rise because you've still got a lot of people bidding on those coffee beans. But as the price goes up, some people don't bid. And when I'm talking about bidding, I'm talking about standing in line at Starbucks. You're bidding on coffee beans when you stand in line at Starbucks or you buy coffee at the grocery store. If the price goes up too high, some people
Ryan,
will switch
welcome
to
in.
tea. And that reduces the demand. So the demand does not stay the same.
And that's going to nudge prices
I love
up.
this man to death.
Or take
God
COVID
bless you,
as an
Mike
example.
Maloney.
A lot of people were asked to stay home to avoid spreading the virus. In some cases, that led to a shutdown in ports or shipping terminals.
Okay, this was government mandated. They weren't just asked to stay home.
How do you follow my trades? Just watch me live every single day. Watch my content. I show it. I'm very transparent. Every single trade I make, believe it or not, has been shown here live, in the lives or in my content. I've now done it in the lives because we do it together. What do we call it, guys? Winning Wednesdays and FOMO Fridays. We buy everything together, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to pay for anything. Tom's Army is only if you want to pay it forward and, you know, show appreciation for all the time I put in. There is no financial commitment to get any of my information with my trades. Zero. None. No obligation to you whatsoever. Tom's Army members are simply paying it forward. That's it. They aren't doing it for any kind of return. Or anybody sending a super chat. The only reason they're doing that is out of the goodness of their hearts. That's it. I'm absolutely creative when you do. Yes, indeed. Your neighbor has 12 cats. You are awesome. Yep, I have my cat Ghost. Then there's a baby kitty, we call it. It was only about 2 months old when we first seen it start coming around the house. I don't think it's ever been inside. So now we just feed it every day. And that's outside now. So I bought a second home for it. So we're going to have a little cat sanctuary back here. And then the second cat, which is now our third cat, 2 of them just live outside apparently. So, you know, I feed them and, you know, I give them water and now I'm giving them shelter. Because damn it, I love animals. But it's only cost me like probably $250 for all the shelter I bought with the little, I bought them little pillows too that's for heating and these little homes. So inside of the little shelter, you go into this littler shelter and it's literally a warming station. It's really cool. Really cool. Sean, you have 3 dogs. Mr. Crothers, welcome in from the great state of Maine.
The ports were closed.
But then, you know, feeding them, you know, it is what it is. I don't mind it. So it costs me an extra $30 a week for their food. Whoop-dee-doo. Some people are like, oh my God, $120 a month. Pfft. If I don't spend it on that, I'll probably spend it on something even stupider.
This was a government-created problem, but if they allow if the governments allow the free.
Kilminati, you missed the XRP. I can't accept that because this live's almost over. I can't believe 60 of you are still sticking around. That just shows me how powerful this community is. So, Kilminati. Oh, no, I've never done that. So, but yeah, that would be a stupid thing to spend on. See, I was basically, so the truth, my mom, I love my mom. Love her to death. But I had to deal with a lot of stuff growing up, and, she liked the pills and blah, 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 blah. I don't want to get into it. My sister was a heroin addict for a good, I don't know, growing up from her late teens until close to 30, into her early 30s. Now she's been sober for like 6 years, which, a miracle. So I, on the other hand, I kept it straight. I didn't do any of that shit. The worst thing I've done, you're looking at it, maybe mushrooms. That could be the worst, I suppose. Never took any kind of like ecstasy or any of that shit. Never took speed. Never took, I never did cocaine or any kind of drugs, any kind of hard drugs. Literally the only thing I've done besides this would be an opioid because they give you Vicodin and all that when I got injured. But now I don't even take pills of any kind anymore. So, and I haven't done it for a very long time, over a decade. I won't. That's why I won't go to the doctor even when I got injured. As long as I know it's non-displaced and I can heal myself, because I've been injured much of my life, I won't go. If it's a non-displaced fracture, I will not go to the doctor. I'll just get the same healing supplies they would give me. And you can on Amazon now, so. And I showed you, I had literally broke 2 fingers and likely my hand, and I didn't go to the doctor. You guys have seen it's been a 12-week recovery, 13 weeks so far. Got full flexibility, full movement out of my fingers, my hand, it's just still healing. Ryan, he says, I'm Ryan, I was an alcoholic. Hi, I'm Ryan and I was an alcoholic, been clean 2 years. Congratulations, Ryan. I do. I have to pay, it's about close to, it's a good $300 a month, let's just say. I pay for medical insurance. I don't use it, but I pay for it just so I don't have a catastrophic event. Well, I can, let's just say. You never know. One day I might not be able to. I believe alcohol is, in fact, it might be the worst drug besides heroin. I always fight everybody on that because heroin changes your whole psychological output in your brain. So, aside from everything else, alcohol is the worst until you bring heroin to the party. If you're talking heroin, it changes your entire mental mindset and your psychological makeup. So, but if you're looking for XRP, I appreciate everybody talking deep. Because, like, for me, the worst thing I was, hi, I'm Tom, and I used to be an angerholic. I was raised by a very aggressive father who would raise his voice even to this day. By a mom who was very bipolar, as we would call her. And my family's just nuts on my mom's side. They just always scream and yell. So that was me. So that if I would say what I am, and it's taken me a long time to get to where I am now, and it's because of Julie mostly. She helped me find calm time. This audience helped me take it to the next level. Like, you guys seen me in 2021 even. I'm not even the same person as then. So, but Kill! Mr. K. We're looking to make sure that we hold this area. We came down here, in my estimations, was just to retest the 200-day and the 4-hourly after a golden cross, and now we're trying to come back up on top. What we need to do is get back above 524, and ultimately, because that's the pivot level, is work out to this 54-cent area and continue moving up. Sean, no alcohol for 8 years. Congratulations. Wow. Yes, good old cannabis. That's God's drug. He put it here for a reason. Anything from the earth, and some will say, well, heroin's from the earth, but you have to alter it, just like cocaine and the rest. You want something, you don't have to alter marijuana. You don't. You just let the buds grow the flower, dry it out, and you smoke it. You eat it. You don't have to alter it in any way. That's a God drug. Mushrooms, you don't have to alter in any way. God's drug. I don't want to get into much more than that because I don't really want to get banned. So let's get back into the charts. Let's get back into Mike Maloney. And thank you all. I'm so blessed that each and every one of you have stuck around. 60 people here. We're coming in on the end of the live, I know. But we're still going to listen to about 5 more minutes of Mike Maloney, or maybe even my malarkey.
Allow the free market to work, prices would go up.
Oh,
very
you have no idea,
temporarily,
Frank.
and
You
inflation
have
truly
no
would
idea.
have been transitory, as it causes.
I'll be honest with everybody. Even in high school, my teacher, they had to vote with each of the students whether they could succeed in life or not. My favorite teacher, Miss Essler, now Miss Dempen, she got married while I was, I think, a senior, but I always called her Miss Essler. God bless her, because she's the only teacher who ever truly believed in me, like really believed in me and pushed me to be a better person, like better in my studies. She once said to everybody, and my parents had to read this, she told it to the class. They went through all the lists of everybody, and she thought everybody in the class would be fine, and somehow they'd adapt to the real life world, and they'd get a job 9 to 5. Until they came to Mr. Thomas Spica Jr., and she read basically the same thing about everybody. You'll be fine, you'll find your sector, you'll do this, you'll find a job in the world, and you'll figure it out. Tom, you won't be able to work a normal job like your peers. You won't be able to flourish in a 9 to 5, but she said, and it's always been the key to me my whole life, she said, but you will do it in a way unconventional and you'll be more successful than most of your peers. I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. At first, I'm like, what are you talking? There is nothing else besides a 9 to 5. What are you talking about? I'm doing it in unconventional ways. I'm literally somebody who invests, who does YouTube. And yeah, that adds a little bit of funds. And that actually helps me invest more, I'll be honest. Like, I've been transparent the whole time. The money that I earn from donations and stuff, because I don't take sponsors, I could make so much money, though. If you look at the digits, oh my God. It's just like if I was a person who's allured by that, you want to talk about easy money that I could make off of the backs of each and every one of you. There's no easier money. But like I always say, there's good and bad money. Bad money's making it at your expense. Good money's bringing you with me, and it might take longer, but in the end, we'll have more. You see how that works? I do. So, you know, that's the life cycle, man. I've been through a lot of shit. I was raised in an environment where I should not be where I'm at right now. So when my teacher said that I would do it in an unconventional way, but I'd be successful, more successful than most of my peers, I look at it now and I can't think of many of my peers that grew up in my same situation that they paid off their house before they're 40. You know, that have built the precious metals and a understanding of what's coming with the economics. All these people that I know, they talk about their dumb shit. Politics, who gives a flying rat's ass about politics? Because whether you're left or right, you're colluding with each other, so it's still not the right, you know. And all the people talking about sports and you know, I like Michigan, but you shouldn't spend all your time on that. Like, the only thing I can say is I used to be a big sports guy, a big stats guy. And instead of being a big stats guy, instead of spending all that time learning stats, I learned the economy. I learned metals. I learned conversion of gold in relation to dollars, in relation to Dow, in relation to S&P, in relation to NASDAQ. Wait a minute, I already said that. And in relation to the Russell 2000. I learned it in relation to nominal values. I learned what real money over currency was. I've learned how to be my own central bank, while everybody else is fascinated on Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers hurting his leg and all this other bullshit nobody cares about, and this trade from, this is all I hear now. Oh, you see, Damian Lillard got traded from Portland. He's on Milwaukee with Giannis Cupacamente, or whatever the hell his name is. Giannis, the king, the chosen, you know, whatever. The Greek freak. But what they really could do is we could all be learning what we're doing now. Thursday Night Football's on right now. I'll turn it on because I got a bet in there because I'm using my analytical approach. Last night, by the way, using analytics, I bet, and I'm not saying this because I don't like to talk about betting, but this is just my life. I bet on Rich Rodriguez because I knew he wasn't going to lose at Jacksonville State. I know that team. There's a model being built. So I capitalized in 4 times my money last night. I don't need to trade crypto. There's other opportunities that I don't have to pay that huge tax until I make too much. So not advisable, but if you like numbers, that's what I like.
Incentive for more people to show up at the docks and unload those ships and get stuff back into the supply chain.
Limiting supplies. Again, that nudged up prices. The other big bucket is on the demand side. So people
drink
demanding
coffee and
or
Coke
wanting
and
more goods and services
small
than there are
cameras.
available. Sometimes economists call this an economy overheating.
Thank you, everybody.
If you want something.
Everybody, we'll continue this later. I got to go. I've been signaled by Julie. It's been an hour long. I appreciate each and every one of you. Stay blessed.